couple of days ago, Jack and I went to hang out with a friend of ours while he works on his latest album. He was spending a week or two in a giant recording studio on the west side. It was Saturday, but he had a bunch of engineers huddled in the booth while he sat alone in this gigantic space and laid down the bass tracks. During a break, he explained that it was one of the last great studios, built in the 70s. This enormous space with warm acoustics where lots of classic albums had been recorded. It seemed like an unusual place to find my friend. He's famous for cutting-edge electronic music and dance tunes. I've usually experienced his work in progress as MP3 files that arrive in my email box, songs that are reworked and morphed over the years. He generally works alone and surrounded by computers, but here he is in this creaky wooden yurt of a room that looks like a sauna and feels like the end of an era. He told us that he was trying to record an album using no electronic instruments, no effects, a string section, and even the electric bass he was laying down would ultimately be replaced by a stand-up. He asked if I had ever heard of Brian Eno's Oblique Strategies. I nodded, but then admitted that I hadn't. He said that Eno had made a deck of cards, each of which had some instruction or limitation which you'd follow to turn your work in a new direction.
When you came to a sort of dead end, you weren't quite sure what the next thing you should do is, you would open the box and pick out one of the cards and follow the strategy.
When you're very in the middle of something, you forget the most obvious things. You come out of the studio and you think, why didn't we remember to do this or that? So these really are just ways of throwing you out of the frame, of breaking the context a little bit, so you're not a band in a studio focused on one song, but you're people who are alive and in the world and aware of a lot of other things as well.
It had inspired him to try something completely different. It reminded me of this film called The Five Obstructions, in which Lars von Trier has Jürgen Leff make and remake a film according to various rules that he's given him. It was one of those things that inspired me to think of ways to shock my own system when I draw, to challenge myself to work in very particular ways, or with various limbs tied behind my back. It's the idea behind the Everyday Matters challenges, to provoke you in a direction you've never considered, trying something that may be uncomfortable, which opens a door. Creativity is all about fresh perspectives, about finding the truth and seeing what's really there. You have to break out of the box you're in and get things moving, even if that means tricking yourself. Sometimes you have to draw with your eyes closed to see clearly. Sometimes that means standing on your head, or drawing with a Sharpie, or using your left hand, or turning off the computer and getting in the string section.